And it's been a tough time for foresters, with log prices reaching new lows. They're now at their lowest level since October 2016. This is according to ANZ's latest commodity report, which says demand in our main market for logs, China, is extremely weak as construction activity there remains subdued. But the Forest Owners Association is hopeful log prices have hit the lowest point, as there are signs building work there will rebound. Chief Executive Elizabeth Haig says forest companies are getting by okay, and she says they're trying to stay optimistic.
We're hoping that this is going to stabilise now. Obviously, it's, as you said, the lowest that we've seen since October 2016. But there are some signs out of China that are making us a little bit optimistic that this is stabilised now.
And it's not much better for sheep and beef farmers, also feeling the effects of weakened demand from China. Meat export values for the first quarter of the year have fallen to the lowest levels in 6 years. New figures show exports to China were down 27% in the first quarter to just under $800 million. And overall, meat exports were down 5%, the lowest value for the quarter since 2018. A spokesperson for the Meat Industry Association, Jason Krupp, says Chinese demand hasn't returned post-COVID as expected.
The two factors that we're seeing in the market there are economic headwinds, and so we're seeing consumers being a little bit more selective in what they spend their money on. And the second one is increased supply from countries, particularly in South America, which is also putting pressure on prices.
The tough economic conditions are hitting meat processors too. ANZCO's profits have more than halved. The company's reported a net profit of $44 million for the year ending December, down from a nearly $107 million profit in 2022. However, it's still considered a standout. Competitors like Silver Fern Farms and Alliance have both posted significant financial losses for the last year. ANZCO's chief executive is Peter Connolly, and he says 2023 was tough, so the profit is very pleasing.
Our core business, we've managed it really well. We didn't get caught with inventory issues. We pride ourselves on supply chain management and making sure we limit market risk around that. So our core business still did okay. And I think when you look at it in the scheme of things, when you look at the numbers and you look at the size of the business, the actual return on investment and the return on turnover is really still quite small. But our value add is growing for us. We've invested heavily in taking raw material and making value-added meat products, not only for New Zealand, but also for offshore markets as well. And that's performed.
Things are better for dairy farmers, though, with global prices lifting. The average price rose 1.8% at the global dairy trade auction to $3,708 a tonne. The all-important whole milk powder price rose 2.4% to $3,350 a tonne. And there are hopes the ailing dairy goat industry has turned a corner. After COVID-19, supply chain disruptions and other issues saw previously strong goat milk powder sales plummet. As inventories built up, farmers were asked to supply less milk and the payout halved. But recent changes in management at Dairy Goat Cooperative have farmers feeling more confident. Farmers say their concerns are being listened to and everyone is moving forward together.
Meanwhile, Maori dairy company Maraka is focusing on higher value products like cream and frozen milk over milk powder. It's based in Taupō and is the only processor in the world to be powered by renewable geothermal energy. It's been working to get its products into new markets like the Middle East and recently signed a new contract with a Chinese company to sell 20% of its UHT milk. Chief Executive Carl Graydon says the pivot is paying off.
With a very deep partnership which is now spread to 5 countries across Asia, and that's targeting the end use of the cafe market, and that's been a great success for us this year. As well as this year, we've demonstrated that we're able to export cream in frozen format to the world, and that's a first for us as well. It's phenomenal.
In other farming news, efforts to create a methane vaccine are being bolstered. AgriZero NZ is investing nearly $10 million into the US company Archaea Bio, which is working to create a methane vaccine for ruminant animals. AgriZero NZ is half owned by the government and key players in the primary industries. Scientists here have been working on creating a methane vaccine for over a decade, and AgriZero has also invested in that work. Chief Executive Wayne McNee says it's backing the US research to increase the chance of delivering a faster solution to the methane issue. He says a methane vaccine for ruminant animals is internationally recognised as the holy grail to deliver methane reduction at low cost and mass scale. And Duncan, you have some news from the horticulture sector.
Yes, the persimmon seems to be gaining new favour. This fruit has a very fine orange-coloured skin. It's described as being a bit like silk, and they have a tangy, sweet flavour. They've also been described as fruit of the gods. Anyway, it appears they're becoming more popular, and growers in parts of Te Tai Rāwhiti and Te Tai Tokoro are flat out with the harvest. Our rural news team spoke to Ian Turk of the Persimmon Industry Council.
Well, it hasn't been a well-known fruit within New Zealand, but the local market is growing quite significantly over the last 3 years or so. Just I think as people are finding it, giving it a go and finding that it's a fruit that they really enjoy eating.
Sticking with hort, great growing conditions mean veggie prices are good for shoppers at the moment.
Indeed, prices are 25% lower than this time last year, and in fact the cheapest in nearly half a dozen years. United Fresh New Zealand President Jerry Prendergast says yields are massive and prices are low.
I can assure you, if you're a consumer, it's a consumer's market in terms of the value. I've not seen the value of fruit and vegetables, and particularly the green leaf vegetables and some root crop vegetables. I've never seen the value at the levels that we are seeing now for perhaps 5 years plus.
Good news for getting your 5 a day in. Now, just finally over the ditch, a New South Wales oyster farmer is waiting to hear if a monster he's grown is in fact the world's largest oyster. Bernie Connell has been farming oysters in the Clyde River for 55 years, and he's produced an oyster weighing in at a whopping 3 kilos. He told the ABC the oyster is almost twice the size of the current record of 1.6 kilos set in Denmark in 2013.
55 years of doing it, I've got nothing else, only hard work. And that's my claim to fame. For 1 hour, the heaviest oyster in the world.
Now, the oyster's 10 years old, and Bernie says she's not for eating. She's a bit like a pet with her own name, Jill.
You're listening to Country Life on RNZ National, 101 FM.